So for the past few years, I have been teaching preserving classes, and there's always one or two terms that kind of stops the class when I tell them they need to burp their jars or measure their headspace, or even that we're going to be making a jelly instead of a jam. If these are terms that you're not familiar with, hang tight. I'm going to run through them.
Headspace is the distance between the contents inside of your jar and the top of the jar itself. So in this case, in the case of pickled carrots, I'm pouring the brine up until about a ½ inch distance between the contents of the jar and the top of the jar itself. So right about here is a ½ inch of headspace. Burping. Recipes ask you to burp a jar when there's any possibility that oxygen might remain trapped inside of the jar. So in this instance, I've poured my brine over top of my carrots, but there's plenty of little nooks and crannies within this jar where oxygen could get trapped. So using a plastic instrument, I place it in there, move the contents around slightly so that I can make sure that there's no pockets of trapped oxygen. And then I re-look at my headspace, because generally the level will fall down, and then I top it back up to the ½ inch headspace before putting on the lid and putting it into the water bath canner. Nowadays, there are all kinds of jams. There's sweet and savory jams, things like onion garlic jam. In this instance, what I'm showing you is a raspberry chocolate jam. Jams are traditionally a combination of fruit, sugar, pectin, and acid. In the case of jams, you're using the entire fruit. So here I've got the raspberries, the seeds, I've used every part of the fruit. Jellies. Jellies are made when you cook the fruit down, strain the meat of the fruit away from the juice of the fruit, and are left with just this nice, beautiful, clear jelly. Marmalades, you either love them or hate them. Marmalades tend to have a slight bitter flavor. They're made from citrus fruit, and in this instance, you're using the peel, the meat of the fruit, you're using absolutely everything. And the peel and the pith are what provide that slight bitter flavor. So marmalades are traditionally made from citrus fruits, anything from lemons to limes to grapefruit to Seville oranges, and they include the peel as well as the meat of the fruit. Suspension is the nice distribution of fruit or peel or any solid masses that you might have in your jam, jelly, or marmalade. In this particular instance, the jar on the right has a nice even distribution of peel, whereas the jar on the left, you can see that the peel has slipped down to the bottom. And a lot of times in jellies, you'll see that your fruit or vegetable will float on the top. What you're looking for is a nice even distribution of that product inside the jar, and that's considered suspension.